Okay, welcome back to the channel everybody. Mike Newton down here at Penrith Golf Hub. We've got some new utility irons carrying on the theme with TaylorMade on their launch, and it's the Sim Udi and also the Sim DHY. So two driving irons here to sort of have a little look at. Obviously I'm always a big fan of these types of clubs, so excited to test these as always. Got TrackMan on the floor here, so we're going to see how these two compare to each other, expecting to see a couple of different sort of ball flights in terms of height here. So depending on the type of golf you are, do you need that little bit of help to get that ball in the air, will maybe just influence which one of these driving irons we're actually going to go into. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Udi. So I did have the P790 Udi, which I did actually enjoy, and that was quite a sort of neat looking club as you put it down by the ball. Putting this Udi down, it's a little bit chunky. We're definitely seeing the chunky top edge, just seeing a bit of that back section just sticking out from that top leading edge, but not by much. But there is quite a lot of offset. That's the first thing I'd sort of noticed when I put it in my hands. There's a lot of offset there, more than for my liking, to be honest. Now TaylorMade is saying this is a minimal offset. I'm not too sure on that. I'd say that's quite a bit of offset there, to be honest. I would prefer to see that a little bit more straight edge, but again, that's my personal sort of view on that. A little bit slimmer here against the DHY option, so again, it's obviously not a thin sole here, it's a little bit chunkier. We've got that speed slot there, but it isn't huge. Hollow body construction. I've got a C300 face here, so again trying to help with that ball speed. I've got that weighted screw which is in the middle section at the back of the club, lifted a little bit up off the sole, so trying to not get the centre of gravity too low in this, because this is a type of iron that's probably a little bit more aimed at a bit more powerful on its flight. So a great option, possibly off the tee, chasing second shots into par 5s, etc. Okay, not too bad opening one. A little bit heavy. That's very, very straight, and very much a sort of piercing flight, which I do sort of like. Did catch that a touch heavy, that one. Wasn't the perfect strike, but it's done very well, which is what you want in these sort of irons. A little bit of help. But I think for me, in this particular iron, I would love to sort of see that piercing flight, which I did on that particular shot. That's my pulley one. It's a great flight again, but it is up that left-hand side. That's my bad shot there. But again, it's coming out on that right window that I would like to sort of see it come out. Just that offset just puts me off a little bit, to be honest, for me. Just spoils it a little bit. Apart from that, the shape of the head is quite nice. So you probably noticed as well, I just slipped a glove on here, purely because it's pretty hot here at the moment in the UK, so hence why I've got the old pins out, so apologies for that. But it is pretty warm, so I'll just help them to keep a bit of grip on this. That's a nice strike. Tiny higher on that flight there with that slightly better strike, but still a really good flight that I would sort of like to see there. So this is a 2-iron I've got in my hands, which is 18 degrees. They also offer a 3-iron, which is a 20 degrees. So in the Udi, just a 2 and a 3-iron, 18 and 20 degrees. And available in both right and left-handed, which is good. No adjustability this time. So maybe we saw Gapper had adjustability here. This is sort of a replacement to Gapper. We have Gapper sort of low, mid and high. This is a bit like equivalent to the Gapper low in a way, but no adjustability now. So there is more room for lie adjustments, which I think is a really good option for a lot of golfers, so you can really go up or down by up to 2 degrees on that particular lie. We've got that sort of speed slot in the bottom again for those low centre hits, which I think is always a good thing on these long irons, and this particular one comes in a Diamana thump shaft, so a new shaft here which feels pretty good, to be honest. Obviously you've got custom options here, so you can put different sort of shafts in there, maybe even steel shafts as well if you prefer that slightly heavier weight. Oh, that's a slight toey one, a little bit of that left-hand side again, but it looks to be flying very nicely yet again. Okay, I'm just going to give one more with that, and then we'll move into the DHY. Again, a little bit toe up that left-hand side. Okay, not the sort of accuracy I tend to sort of see with my 2-iron, unfortunately, with that particular one. Just maybe that offset, I don't know, it's not sitting quite right with me there, to be honest, look at that offset. Okay, let's move into the DHY. Okay, so moving into its bigger brother here. So what we're just basically seeing here now is a bigger sole, bigger pumped up, hollow bodied construction, much chunkier in its appearance, and obviously really aim now at getting that ball up in the air. So we should see a slightly higher ball flight with this. Having said that, and this is a 2-iron, which I've got in my hands, again, it is 1 degree less loft than the UDI. So possibly with the help of that weight, as you can see now, is into the sole. It's gone away from the back that we saw in the UDI, now gone into the sole, so very low in that club face. Again, low in CG, which is all about sort of launching that ball a little bit higher. Obviously with a bit more weight pulled back, again, launch a little bit higher and should be a little bit more forgiving as well. Definitely a bigger sort of appearance, and that is very noticeable again when you put it down by the ball. Obviously we see a lot of that back sticking out there, which again, some people like it, some people don't. I don't personally mind that, to be fair. It looks like I've got something a bit more oomph behind it in a way, so it gives me a confidence that I've got a lot of forgiveness in this particular club. There's not as much, for me, there's not as much offset. Let me just have a look at that other one again. So look at these two here, side by side, and they're probably the same. It looks to have less offset there. I don't know if it's just because of the shaping of the head a little bit, which surprised me a little bit. I would expect to see less with the UDI, maybe a little bit more offset with this slightly larger one. But let's get this first one underway. So again, this is a 2-iron, possibly see a slightly higher flight. That's a lovely hit. Yeah, and that is a little bit higher on that ball flight there. Even though we've got 1 degree less loft, a little bit more on that launch and a bit more on that carry there. So 250 on the carry. That was a good healthy sort of distance there. Now, having said that, the shafts are slightly different. So in the DHY as standard, we now have a Diamana 75, so there's a little bit less weight in this, and I do feel that, and there is a little bit more length in it as well. Even though these are both 2-irons, if we put those side by side, possibly see there's about 1/4 to 1/2 inch longer in its length. So obviously that's going to account a little bit of speed there. Lighter in the shaft will again help with a little bit of speed, a little bit of launch. Oh, rip that, and that is definitely through that slightly different window. I've absolutely smoked that. And obviously that slightly higher flight there just is in the air a little bit longer, so 251 again on that carry distance. It just feels really easy to hit. I could play that. I wouldn't mind it in a slightly stronger loft, but you can't. So these are available in a 2, 3, 4 and a 5 in the DHY. So more options there. So possibly the golfer who maybe struggles with that typically longer iron, maybe don't get on with the hybrids. These would be a very, very good option. Replacing the 5-iron, maybe one of these, a 4-iron with one of these, possibly could be a really good option for a lot of golfers. The 2, obviously 3 to 5 are all available in right hand. Left hand, you've only got options of the 3 and the 4. So there's no 2-iron and no 5-iron for you lefties, unfortunately. Ooh, that's a bit of a leaky one up that right. It's gone much higher again, probably because of a slight right shot, left that face open. Not my best, that one, to be honest. Just spoiled my little dispersion ring there. Let's try and put a better swing on this one. Maybe just feels a touch light for my personal liking with this shaft. But again, you can have custom options in this. And again, that is a really, really good ball flight. Not quite as long on that particular one, 239. It just feels so easy. There's not as much pressure there maybe in that particular club to sort of get that ball launched. It's a joy to hit, is that. It just flights it up there, and again I could probably knock that down lower if I needed to, you know, if that windier shot off the tee into a little bit. Again, that was really nice. Let's just hit one a little bit low, see if we can actually knock this one down a little bit. Oh yeah, and that's back into that window there where I sort of saw with the standard UDI there. So and they're very similar on that sort of distance and dispersion. Just that one little right shot's just let me down there, unfortunately. I like that. That was really nice. Okay, let's look at those numbers between the UDI and the DHY. Okay, so let's look at those numbers a little bit more detail between the two. So we've got the UDI on the bottom there, so you can see club head speed 100, slightly quicker there with the DHY, probably that little bit of extra length, touch lighter in the shaft. You can see I've got pretty much about 2 mile an hour more club head speed through that slight lift and change. Obviously that's just increased my ball speed a little bit as well, because that slight little bit of club head speed, so 151 against 148. Launch, you can see probably about a degree more on average there with the DHY, but obviously that last one where I knocked it down, you see I've hit that 7.2, so I can manipulate that down, which I like. So the option, I've got a high one in there if I was hitting into a green, is great. But I can also knock that down. I prefer that. I'm just going to take that one out and see what the average is then. Yeah, so 11.8, so you know, a good degree and a half, just over a degree and a half more launch there with the DHY, as you'd expect. Spin number's very similar there, to be honest, which is good. Touch more there with the DHY, but not by much. And obviously just with that little bit more ball speed, a little bit higher launch, higher on its flight. You can see 89 foot against 72 feet. Is its peak height, noticeably high, it just stays in that area a little bit longer, so a touch more carry there. Okay everybody, so there we go, there's the two new utility irons from TaylorMade. Replacing Gapper here, we've got UDI, a little bit more, as you can see that lower ball flight there, probably not quite as forgiving. And then you've got the DHY, a bit chunky, a bit more real estate, sort of down by that golf ball, more presence there, but definitely a slightly higher flight. But I tell you what, I really enjoyed that. I would expect it to sort of prefer the UDI from my previous you know, the P790 Udi I really liked, but the DHY I think for me is a winner for that. You know, I can hit it low if I want to, but that stock one of being a little bit higher is a great option. I've got more options there when I'm out on that golf course, depending on the situation, depending on the weather and the wind and everything like that. Okay, post comments down below, let me know your thoughts with the new utility irons. Are you more of a utility iron player as a preference to hybrids? Love to hear your thoughts as always, so post your comments down below. If you enjoy the videos, these TaylorMade launch, hopefully there's lots more videos there for you to go and look at for the iron reviews. Going to do some more comparisons coming shortly, so stay tuned. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, then you will not miss a video, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.